Okay, the organization, the company, targeting a $60 billion plus valuation in a September flotation. They're going to be IPOing. And I'm dying laughing. ARM is not in a good situation. And it's very specific to ARM's business model. Basically, ARM is the instruction set of choice for cheaper devices, for power efficient, low power devices. Apple uses their instruction set for designing their chips. Qualcomm, Broadcom, Marvell. All right, all these companies, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, all of these are based on ARM architecture. The problem is the vast majority of the companies I mentioned have what's called an architectural license. So as a result, they pay a certain amount of royalties as a flat fee, basically. And they get the ability to take the ARM instruction set, think like Linux, all right? And they can now modify it. And now they can sell that product directly to customers. ARM itself, the company, their assets are considered weak in data center. The best data center chips right now are by their own customers. That's the problem. And you are correct, someone said money. If ARM reveals some new licensing scheme, which they're trying, where they could take advantage and break away the per unit like smartphones, they may be able to pull it off, but no one knows yet. Yep, that's true. By the way, there's going to be a lawsuit already going through right now of ARM versus Qualcomm. If you know the history of these companies, Qualcomm's a legal firm with an engineering department. I think Qualcomm beats the shit out of them. But I'm a homer. I'm biased. Yeah, really, ARM, the best thing that could have happened for that company was NVIDIA was allowed to acquire them. And if you're wondering why was it a risky acquisition? NVIDIA's not considered a very clean player in the competition space. Them having access to basically ARM means that all of a sudden NVIDIA can shut off their competition. Imagine if Qualcomm couldn't get the ability to produce chips anymore. Design chips. Or Apple couldn't get the ability to design chips. Dangerous. Sir Jack is out of hood. Yep. All right. Jensen be like, don't hate the player, hate the game. I think he knew it was a very controversial acquisition. The company that makes me most proud, someone called out earlier, Levi's. I know there was some interesting, I think there was some big options activity today in Levi's. Levi's I like though. Padres fan asking Promo, do you see any headwinds in the healthcare sector in the near future? I'm dying to see what Promo's response is. I know what I would say. I'm willing to bet Promo says the same fucking thing. Sir Robster Roll, SoftBank was desperate. Oh, they could have, I mean, NVIDIA was willing to pay $40 billion. More importantly, NVIDIA was willing to invest a shitload of money in helping their R&D. God. Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Block, Airbnb, DraftKings, Cloudflare, Fortinet, Petrobras, and Wish. All of these companies are interesting. Wish is the least interesting, but we still care. Activision $77 and $75 puts getting some love. That's interesting. Bought or sold? Then again, why would someone sell that low of a put that that would make? Yeah. By the way, Promo's response was somewhat similar to mine. On a pure business standpoint, pure business, I don't think there's a huge risk to the healthcare side moving forward because they're all priced, quite frankly, cheap, specifically the health insurance companies. The problem you have to deal with is how investors treat it, especially going into an election cycle where pharma is really easy, health insurance is really easy to beat up on. And you have to combine that with the fact that if everyone thinks there's no recession, people want to go onto the risk on trade. That's the exact opposite of healthcare. Venkat, thoughts on Etsy? Good question. I did not follow their earnings very well. God. Were their earnings that bad? Obviously, they had to be somewhat bad. Today, they got slapped with a downgrade from outperform to market perform. Price target 105. So it's not a deep downgrade. Downleamer says, if someone is selling, someone must be buying, right? Market makers, though. Keep that in mind. There's always a buyer or seller of last resort. Tends to be a group like Citadel or State Street. But yeah. Yeah, it does look, I mean, Etsy's a weird one. It's not even like dilution's a significant problem. I don't know. It's a weird one. Yeah, you guys talking about that poor brutal bastard on Wall Street Bets, who has one of the most interesting character arcs, quite frankly, on that hellhole, where he apparently posted he owed the IRS like $50,000 from stock gains. Made a huge gamble on AMD, did not work. Took a bunch of the money, put it into Shopify. That obviously did not work. And my first thought was, well, you don't owe $50,000 to the government anymore. What time is Amazon tonight? Are they right at close? I've got Amazon right at close. At one point, his RTX options were up like 60K. Jesus, just sell a portion. Please. Problem with the AMD options was they were all weeklies, which I think teaches a different lesson about playing earnings, right? Either way, it's sad. You snagged an Amazon call, ballsy. Amazon has sold off on 9 of 11 ER prints. Sounds about right. Yep. But this time's going to be different. Yeah, I would not. I mean, keep in mind, I have Amazon positions. They are of respectable size. Yeah, that's the thing. Just to remind you guys, like my Qualcomm position, for example, I wasn't sure about it, was less than 1% of my 401k, less than 1%. And I had October calls, so I have plenty of fucking time. All right. My Amazon position is about 2%, a little bit more comfortable. But again, October. October. See it as well. Can you get margin called if you never open your? Only if you delete the app. That's the rule. Like you have to do both. Also helps you change your name and phone number. No, of course not. Mox asking any earnings play. My dear brother in Christ. Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Block, Airbnb, DraftKings, Cloudflare, Fortinet, Petrobras, and Wish. Tomorrow morning, by the way, is Shitco Central. Believe it or not, I almost question whether MGA, Magna, this is an automotive component supplier. Apparently, automotive supplies have been doing really well. For ago, my Qualcomm position was around 10K. Oh, much smaller than that. Yeah, Magna is actually one of the more interesting companies. Hold on, that's wrong one. Hold on, that's the wrong one. That's not the correct one. Magna is MGA. MGA. Tell it to AutoZone, different supplier. AutoZone does not supply parts to General Motors or Ford. Magna does. This is not aftermarket parts. This is a supplier of systems and components to automotive producers. So like your glove box with the electronics and shit comes from them, right? This is more of a bet on increased automotive production. Apple's at 430. Yep, you have to wait. I believe it's a Canadian. Yeah, this is a Canadian company, by the way. Yeah, we shit on Canadians quite often, but this is a Canadian company. I wonder if there's any interesting options activity in these guys. They're not sex. They don't have a lot of options anyway. Is Europe better than Canada? Not to me. Just sold a bunch of 0 DTE covered calls on Amazon. Good luck, my friend. Good luck. Hope that works out. Take a guess where in the US Subaru sells the most cars. Washington State. That or Massachusetts. Am I right? I assume Washington State or Oregon are the most likely options. Am I right? Colorado's a good one. Yeah. Cali, probably not. Seattle. Alabama, fuck off. Subaru's nuts. Oh, God. Yeah, there's no really interesting options activity for these guys. I don't think anyone even cares about them, so. I'll be curious to see if there was any earnings play I'm playing tomorrow, which literally there's none of them I'm playing. Magna was the one I would have played. A reminder, that's usually a kiss of death because I've not had a good record this earnings season. I have traditionally been a lot better. Yep, Amazon right at the close. By the way, do not fall for Amazon's first move. All right? If someone's reading headline numbers, it should not matter. Really, it should not matter. What will move the stock is CapEx and any conversation about where they see the future of their cloud spend, or rather their cloud business. Am I playing Pubmatic or Magnite next week? I'm tempted to play App or Digital Turbine. These are the guys. I don't know how they'll do, but yeah. Apple is 430. We're sticking around. Retail margins will also matter. I think, though, at this point, everyone should be comfortable with them doing well in that. There's been so many research notes, so many channel checks which have said good things about it. Reddit swap. So close Amazon before Apple dumps the market. It could get spicy to see what happens if one company does. Pretend for a second Amazon does really well and Apple does really poorly. It'll be interesting to see what the net impact on the market is. The interesting thing is that Apple and Amazon don't have that much overlap. They really don't. A bigger issue would have been like if Microsoft and Amazon, because they both have cloud units. Have I seen DQ? No. Dairy Queen? No, Daco New Energy. Oh, it's a solar company. Solar's not been doing well. What the fuck? Never heard of these guys. Brain Embolus, Apple moves the market. It can. Caliator, Cuervo did well, right? Apple should be fine. Cuervo's not what's it called? Skyworks. Skyworks is a lot closer linked to Apple. Cuervo does a lot of work with Android phones, but they also have a lot of applications in telecom. Cuervo's a weird company. All right, I'm going to use the restroom right quick. Let me run us to a break so that no one misses when you see the report. Never mind. So I'll be right back. Okay, guys. We back. Boss Deal, what would Amazon need to do an NVIDIA-like guide? It's almost impossible for them to have that. That's a little bit too wild. That's just not their way. Bears win. Bears win. All right, guys. Amazon is right at the bell, so. Board Twitch Watcher. DQ has an earnings surprise of negative 76.86. My God. The NASDAQ rebalance changed things. NASDAQ no longer tracks Apple exactly. Agreed. SPX still does. Or the SPY, rather. DD Mao, is that Dairy Queen? That was literally my first comment. Party on Barth. You feel like Apple drops. T-Mobile, Verizon, and T all missed revenue, so unless India suddenly spiked, Apple sales should be down. But keep in mind, the services side of Apple may be picking up. Plus, Apple kind of beats up on their partners. Whoa! We don't know if that's real. We don't know if that's real, guys. Amazon can be fake. I'm optimistic. But, let's be fair. Amazon big beat on EPS. Okay, hold on, guys. Let's see. Yeah, Amazon spiking. Let's see what it looks like. Let's get some numbers to this. Please be real. I agree. $0.65 versus 34 cents. Oh, huge beats. And they're guided up. Beat, guide up. Then they should be up. Look at that. Was it AWS or was it the retail? Because we're expecting strength out of both ends. I'll get respectfully giddy. Keep in mind, have not had the best week, guys. I've not had the best week. But this will make things better because Amazon was actually one of my bigger positions for options. So let's fucking go. Remember, Apple doesn't report until 4:30. And also, just keep in mind, last time Amazon reported, they dropped quite a bit when Andy Jassy or whoever was on the phone talked about sales trends they observed. So, management, listen, let's chat for a second. If I'm ranking mega cap management, Apple and Microsoft are at the top. Honestly, Amazon's pretty far down. It's not as far down as Google. I think Sundar should be replaced. And Zuckerberg's done a lot better than expected. Just saying. Amgen's up. All right, here we go. Yeah, call out other earnings as well. Amgen, big beat on EPS. Decent beat on revenue. Friendly reminder, Mike Wilson, strategist for Morgan Stanley, and a bear. One of the things that he's been very clear about in his bear case was that earnings would suffer from a contraction in, quote, operational leverage. His idea was you'd see more companies doing well on revenue, but a contraction in margins. We're actually seeing it work a bit differently. Respectfully to my homie Mike Wilson, I think he underestimated just how much cost-cutting companies could do. Caliotter, who is that? Cirrus Logic. Okay. Looks like a pretty comfortable beat. Wow. Yeah, good for them. Amazon going to 140. It looks, I mean, it might. I don't know. Jay Skelling, you're so glad you sold your Airbnb puts. Uh-oh. What happened? I know a lot of Wall Street bets was short Airbnb. Whoa. Looks like their first reaction was up then down. Without looking, I almost guarantee you they had good numbers and then their guidance was down. What happened? Is that what we're looking at here? I assume the first headline was, did they beat? They probably did. And then they probably guided down. Is that what happened? Gilead, pretty big miss. Miss on EPS, beat on revenue. Airbnb, look, they crushed on EPS. They beat on revenue. Wow. Okay. Their guide must be shit. See, third quarter revenue. Airbnb guided up. Hold on. Adjusted EBITDA, they beat. Nights and experiences booked were actually a bit under. That seems to be the only blemish. I don't know about this one. I don't understand this sector. I don't play it. They're now getting absolutely pummeled. I don't know about this. This one feels weird. Presuming that I'm trusting this alone, it looks like the only thing wrong they had less nights and experiences booked this last quarter. And the fact that they then beat on everything else means they did good operational shit and they charged higher prices. Fortinet dumping. Oh boy. Yeah, looks like Airbnb's now got a little bit of green starting to pop up at the bottom. Let's see. I don't understand that earnings. I don't understand that one. Fortinet. Fortifucked. Look at them go. Cybersecurity software infrastructure. Tolmec, isn't travel way up? How are their bookings down? That's the question. Are they... This kind of comes down to the issue like Pepsi and General Mills have identified, which is they think they're kind of at the end of where they can increase prices. So more people may be leaving Airbnb to go to hotels. By the way, I think Marriott this morning fucking crushed. Calliot or Corsair, they better guide up. They reiterated outlook. Interesting, because a lot of companies, like on the specifically both Intel and AMD and Microsoft talked about the bottom being behind them for the PC market. I was expecting Corsair would do better, quite frankly. Down 17%. This looks stupid. I know nothing, by the way, about this. But the market, when you see these huge reactions to like $60 billion companies, unless they're issuing like a going concern notice, I don't think a 20% move in almost any direction makes sense. Sandroid says, people are sick of having to clean and paying for cleaning. Yeah, Airbnb hosts are an interesting group. Sultan, the more you look into these Amazon earnings, the better they get. Did Andy Jassy fire his way into a new level of profitability? Maybe it's just overvalued with assumptions behind valuation invalidated. Oftentimes, Reddit Swap, I think people treat valuations like a red line. It's not true. It's not really, right? Fortinet. I want to see Fortinet's numbers. I want to understand why that fucker's down 20%. Fortinet supposedly is a really good company, by the way. I've heard people talk about them as good. Stryker looks like a double beat. All right, Fortinet. In line on revenue, we'll call it. Slight beat on EPS. They guided down. Guys, I don't understand this one. I don't understand this one. Palo Alto? No, fuck. No, they didn't... All right, we need to understand a little better what's going on in that fucking sector, because Palo Alto reaction from Fortinet could be the case, but Fortinet, it looks like they guided down revenue, by the way, for the full year. Okay, for the full year. And this is the second quarter. They originally had 5.43 to 5.49 billion. They've basically shaved down what looks to be about $100 million, right? $100 million markdown for the entire fiscal year of revenue. And we are actually shrinking off $15 billion from these guys. No, that seems fucked. That there's got to be something else there. Otherwise, Fortinet may become a dip buy tomorrow. That feels stupid. Brain Embolus. Fortinet valuation a bit lofty on growth expectation. To be fair, though, for 2022, they pulled 4.4. They just told you they're going to go 5.4 billion, roughly-ish. Like, that feels... Yeah. Yeah, by the way, Palo Alto is an amazing, like, really good company. Yeah, there's got to be something else there. There's got to be something else there. You know, what did their stock do going into this? I mean, they've had a solid uptrend. You can make the argument. They're trading at 44 times PE. By the way, for software companies, if you wonder why they trade at that level, usually it's because they considered a little bit more immune to the traditional business cycle. Everyone's a cyclical at some level, right? But this is a company that buys back shares. They don't do dividends. That's fine. So they're not expanding share count. This is not a big stock-based compensation company. And their margins are excellent. 75% gross margin, 20% profit margin. That's good. Ooh, what do we got here? Dropbox. Beat. Double beat. Not bad. Not bad. Rocket Companies. Beat. Beat. By the way, sneaky thing is, Rocket is a company at some point. I may take a longer term. It's kind of a shitco. At least it's a meme stock. But eventually, all these houses that are being sold right now at higher interest rates eventually will refinance when interest rates do drop. Rocket's probably going to see a lot of revenue from that. Amazon beats expectations. Yeah, because expectations are really weird with that company. But yeah, it looked like they did well. Looked like Amazon did really well. Coinbase. Looks like Coinbase slightly beat on EPS. My fault. That's actually a pretty big beat on EPS. Slight beat on revenue, right? The key is when those rates come down. Agreed. Agreed. The sneaky thing is, Padres fan, if you believe that the Fed is going to keep raising rates because of what the dot plot said, then you have to be willing to listen to the dot plot that told you they cut rates next year. I know JPal's like, we don't anticipate cutting rates. No, no one thinks you do anticipate it until the day you cut it. Apple pumping off Amazon? That could be. I mean, Amazon's big. What the fuck is this? Seems like a little bit too much of a pump off Amazon, right? But yeah, Amazon doing well, guys. I mean, that's Tim, you said the rates won't drop until 2025. We will see. Square missed EPS. Uh-oh. They're up. Apple's at 430, B-Hood. We got to wait for that one. By the way, much like Microsoft, don't trust the first, second, or third move on Apple. Apple's real move happens during their call. Promo's correct, by the way. Ignore Amazon's GAAP EPS. Agreed. Correct, MP Doska. No after hours QQQ calls, yeah. B-Hood, because Apple reports after the cutoff. Places that let you buy calls, traditionally, it's 15 minutes after. Bookings, earnings, revenue, beat, big. EPS, holy shit. Travel strong. Square's up, by the way. All right, it looks like a lot of companies are down. The cybersecurity companies are down on Fortinet. That we need to understand tonight, because tomorrow there might be some dip buying to happen there. Differentiation. Bookings will do well. Expedia, nice. Block looks like a beat on EPS, beat on revenue. Wow. Michael Gay had got to be in shambles here. God. Hex users should keep calling it Twitter. I do. Yeah, Palo Alto is just an amazing company. Like, I still sneakily maintain me being evil. If we had a different administration in the White House and the FTC, would Microsoft try to acquire Palo Alto? Seriously, Palo Alto would have been a better acquisition than Activision Blizzard, and I'm pretty sure they paid more for Activision Blizzard than they would have had to pay for Palo Alto. Tim, don't fall for that trap. No. Is those like more rate hikes coming in on these reports? No, the Fed's already told you. Only thing they care about right now is inflation prints. And put it like this. The same time period these companies have been earning these reports, all the inflation prints have been coming in under. So yeah, don't fall for that trap. DraftKings. I have a homie in DraftKings. I'm cheering for you. Go Rebs. Holy shit, up 7.5. America strong. I want to understand more about the Amazon. So DraftKings lost a little less money than expected. Beat on unique players. Beat on average revenue per user. If you ever see ARPU, it's average revenue per user. Square backing off. Interesting. I may potentially feel bad for PayPal and Square tonight. There is a chance Apple fucks them. If Apple talks about strong growth of Apple Pay, people might sell out of those other ones. Just saying. Keep eyes on that one, particularly tomorrow. AKA more degenerate. More! Square adjusted EPS is a beat, revenue is a beat. I'm sure they will reward all of their employees with plenty of stock. Square's gonna go red. Oxy in the news. I just bought some today. Please be good. Please be good. Amazon, 5.7% operating margin versus 3.46. Damn. Microchip. Looks like a big miss on EPS. Wow. It's a disgusting miss on EPS. You can't do that shit. You're not allowed to. And they're down. Yep, Apple's in 11 minutes. They weren't expected to get back to that operating margin until the end of 2024. Management, man. Robinhood to charge option trading clients regulatory fees. All right, here's happy about that. Go ahead, show yourself. What did that even mean? I assume just means the cost per contract goes up. They're going to say it's a regulatory capture fee instead of admitting that it's just a margin padding fee, right? 3 cents per contract. Oh, they are going to squeeze the apes. There you go. Wish. Oh, bad loss. Second quarter revenue, big miss. Third quarter revenue. Oh my God. Believe it or not, though, their loss is down. And do you know why? Because they fired a lot of people recently. So it looks like Wish is watching their revenue dry up, but at the same time, they're reducing operational expenses. So their EBITDA loss is less than expected, but that's a shitco. Net beat EPS, beat revenue. Are they actually getting rewarded? Because all of cybersecurity is getting fucked. Let's pull up Palo Alto. This one is. Are you fucking. I get it. I get it. But like. A forward PE of 48 seems expensive, particularly if you are from like the value side. But if this growth trend continues for a software business that's now finally turning into EPS positive, like Palo Alto is at the stage where it's about to turn into like a money free cash flow generating, exactly what you want to see a software focused company turn into. Again, if you believe these numbers, like it's a really good company. I continually have kicked myself for not being invested in them. I've played them a few times for swings. You know, buy the shit out of Palo Alto? Yeah. How's CrowdStrike doing? Oops. Look at that. They're down too. I mean, that's just fucking stupid. Apple has not even reported yet. Yeah. Maybe now is the opportunity. I want to get calls. Yeah, I'm gonna need to understand a lot more about Fortinet. Steel Cold Kegs, you're already jumping in. You're like, fuck it, I ain't waiting. You bought Palo Alto? That's fine. Yeah, Windy, those Amazon margins, yep. Spencer, do we really want cybersecurity in a Microsoft world? They already are. Amazon is a fucking grind to work at. B Hood knows it. It's famous. Amazon is one of those companies. I say this from like a corporate HR standpoint. If someone worked at Amazon and left early, they never had to worry about like smart HR people knew there was no shame in leaving Amazon early. We weren't like, oh my God, if this person can't handle Amazon, they couldn't handle our culture. No. Anybody who made it in the door of Amazon, we thought was pretty tough, no matter what. B-Hood. Amazon and Apple are the only two big boys you know of that really make you work for it. I've heard NVIDIA is the same way, though. I've heard NVIDIA, but NVIDIA is not crazy. Apple's considered crazy, and Amazon's just a monster. Suck on my nuts. Wait, why is Palo Alto down? The entire cybersecurity sector is getting beat up on by Fortinet. And I don't think that may make sense. I don't even know if Fortinet should be down this much. See, Fortinet's coming back. Spencer, your friend got a sweet job at Amazon and loves it over his corporate Target job. Target, I'll be honest, I was recruited by Target. I was recruited by both, actually. But Target, I did a lot more digging into. Target has a fucking weird culture. Everything's all like friendly, chummy. You're expected at corporate to spend a lot of time at like get to know you sessions with other people. They try to make everyone into a family. Amazon's cutthroat. How's Amazon doing? They are fucking. They are up 7% in after hours alone. Yes, Rocket reported. You don't think Microsoft makes you work? Oh, I bet Microsoft does too. I assume Microsoft, I have friends, by the way, who work for Microsoft. They all have very positive things to say. I assume Microsoft is more like a traditional large organization. Apple is very different from a security standpoint. Amazon, because for a while felt like they hated their employees. They're different. And then, of course, Google, old school Facebook, they were a lot softer on people. You used to work at Amazon and now work at Microsoft. Microsoft is a retirement community in comparison. Sounds about right. Turkey Tom, worst part of corporate culture is that we are a family here. Guys, I'm going to say a shocking comment. I enjoyed the corporate culture at Sears Holdings. It was a very tough. Sears Holdings, a lot of the people at Sears went on to get recruited by Amazon and actually did very well because culturally they were kind of similar. General sense at Amazon was, if you're feeling burnt out and want to chill, you go work at Google and Microsoft. Yep. All right, here's the segments. This is cool. What you're basically seeing here was, this is operating margin. Amazon took advantage of low interest rates during the pandemic to overinvest in their retail fulfillment network. They did what all of us would have done. If you are being a smart company, you used the pandemic time period when rates were low to invest, to build out your moat so no one can fuck with you again. Now they're coming out of that and you can see it hit their margins. This is cool. Thanks for sharing that. My Windy brings the goods. Look at Amazon, 7.5. Padres fan, what do we need to see from Apple to make the market bullish? The fucked up thing is, expectations for Apple are actually low. And I know you're going to say, but look how expensive they are. No. For the earnings themselves, Apple's expectations are low. They really are. If Apple talks about strong end user demand, that they expect next quarter to essentially be anywhere close to flat year over year, that's actually going to be a positive. Though it could shock the market is if Apple talks specifically about India, China, Apple Pay services. If they get beats there, that's it. ChemLife, get a load of this. The largest income segment for Coinbase is interest. It gets on its US dollar. The trick at AWS is to be proactive and load up your tasks in every sprint. Do that, you'll do well. I've heard that, by the way. One of the only stocks where flat is fucking bullish. If you look at Apple's revenue trend, you know, though, why that's the case. Because Apple exploded on revenue. Remember, for every device Apple sells people, that's one more person who's using their advertising product, who's using services, App Store, etc. So Apple, once they sell you your first phone, as long as you're on their platform, you're making the money. All right, guys, get ready. Hold on to butts. First move is down. Apple's going up. Apple's going up. All right, hold on. Anyone got the numbers? Frugal, what you don't understand, I understand this. The reason Android dominates India is because Android is cheap and it's much easier to pirate apps. I agree. I know that. But Apple is still has very low penetration in India. So they only have room to go up. Tim said AI. I assume he didn't say AI. He said machine learning. Apple EPS beat. Revenue beat. Looks like a double beat. Small beat. Now it's down. Why? Remember, all these moves are fake. The real moves for Apple won't happen until the phone call. That's actually one of the reasons you got to be careful playing against them. Their management's really good. Tim Cook does not fuck up on phone calls. Expectations, though, were pushed so down for Apple. It's like the earnings trap. Where's the real numbers? I love, by the way, Apple is one of the more enjoyable companies to see their earnings releases. When's call? Probably 30 minutes. Probably. Is that this time? May 4th? No, that was the last one. All right, where's the... All right, here we go. We are happy to report we had an all-time revenue record in services driven during the June quarter, driven by over 1 billion paid subscriptions, and we saw continued strength in emerging markets thanks to robust sales of iPhone. From education to the environment, we are continuing to advance our values while championing innovation that enriches the lives of our customers and leaves the world better than we found it. Let's see. All-time high, installed base of active devices, I told you, reached an all-time high in every geographic segment. Very strong operating cash flow of $26 billion, returned over $24 billion to our shareholders. Da-da-da. Oh, here we go. Windy. Mac beat. iPad missed. iPad missing is not a shock. This is their last quarter before their refresh. So I don't think that should be a shock. Other products a bit down. iPhone revenue was a little bit of a miss. I assume services, though, is where they crushed. Services, yeah, they were up about $500 million on that. Draconium, if there's one word to describe Apple with anything, it's polish. Particularly leadership. Particularly leadership. And we'd rather invest in like good companies that might be a bit expensive but have good leadership than a company that might have a great valuation but could be a shitco, right? Prometheum, what are your thoughts on this? 26 billion in operating cash flow, 24 billion return to shareholders. I assume that's a good capital return, right? I know it's for a $3 trillion company, but like that ratio feels good, right? Windy, just okay, given the multiple might sell off a bit tomorrow. I will find out. Sandbagging for sure, almost certainly, yes. Padres fan, I'm the wrong person to ask about hardware like that. Beats on margin makes sense. When you have that big beat on services, you have to beat on margin, right? Services is essentially just all margin. Coinbase red for now. Yay! Bot deal, you say Amazon's fucking... So Apple, by the way, is now red in after hours. It's not a big deal. Not by much. Let's see Amazon. Amazon is up 7.5% in after hours. Amazon's the winner tonight, clearly. Clearly. Apple met expectations. Expectations, though, were pretty low. Pretty low. Yeah, Apple is the GOAT for... DocuSign apparently did an accounting oopsie. Uh-oh. Oops. No, that's DigitalOcean. Oh, you can't. I mean, that ain't good. They're down 15%. If you bought the Apple dip in December, January, this earnings release was a good reason to reduce exposure? Possibly. Apple doesn't hard guide, but they give soft guidance. They give qualitative guidance. Luca is the name of the CFO, by the way. Luca is he will talk about like basically, because I think last time his guide was roughly low single digits down year over year, somewhere near there. It's very nebulous. He doesn't give hard numbers right now. Promo, I think that's smart. Sold your Amazon, not risking Jassy fucking you. If I had Amazon shares, I don't. If I did, I would sell right now. I'd rebuy tomorrow. So Rob Stroll, yeah, the third quarter iPhone revenue did seem to miss. It looks like what really pushed them through, though, was services. Services was a beat. And that's important. Because of China, it could be. Let's see what they talk about on the earnings call itself, which I will not be around for. By the way, if Apple actually reinstates their guide, which I wish they would do, they should. The pandemic's done. Like, that would be a good sign. But everybody, it looks like the lesson of today, before I wrap up the stream. Fitch downgrades municipal ratings. They really want to start catching drone strikes. Calliotter, no way Jassy can fuck this up. To be fair, that man is really good at fucking things up. Careful. Looks like the big observation right now. Amazon seems to be the big winner. And then cybersecurity for tomorrow. What is going on here? Because the entire sector is getting bludgeoned off Fortinet. And it looks like if we know the answer to that, there may be some dip buying tomorrow. We'll see. Pro, didn't you call that out yesterday in Discord? Like, first they came for the US government, then they came for Freddie and Fannie. B-Hood, why are you saying Amazon was... I'm not saying Amazon will sell off, but I'm saying Andy Jassy on the phone call could make another comment like, oh, well, what we've observed this quarter is not a single person's buying AWS services. And that'll tank them. Got a big beat on operational cash flow. Products revenue, a little bit under. But that services number, oof. So Rob Terrell, did Microsoft announce something? No, cybersecurity is getting tanked on Fortinet, and that may be bullshit. Bitch, gonna get drone striked. Yep. Tim points out, cybersecurity is included in Azure. Yep, that's why the number one cybersecurity company remains Microsoft. All right, folks. Let's wrap up the stream there. Let's check out what our good friend Jay Jared's up to. Glup, have to consider the entire cybersecurity sector is all negative EPS companies. Not really. Fortinet, ironically, is not. Fortinet is actually is actually EPS positive, and my understanding is guidance-wise, this year Palo Alto goes positive. Jay Jared was canceled. What? What do you mean he's canceled? Well, who else is streaming? He's in training this week? Got it. Well, do you guys have someone for me to raid? Particularly smaller streamers? He hasn't been on all this week. Oh, he's missing a great week for earnings. Okay. Well, training is training. He went topless. Be nice. Oh, Moose Money moves. Let us raid him. He seems like a good guy. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll do Moose. I'm inclined to want to like him, so. All right, guys, but thank you very much for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow, and I'm telling you, the thing that I want to understand the most is Fortinet. What's going on there? Anyway, see you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and until tomorrow, peace.